Hi. So I have a few more stories to tell you about our trip to Bolivia. Now, our favorite app is called Maps.me, and we used it a lot in Bolivia. Mostly because we got dropped off somewhere that was not, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. So, Maps.me is if you know you're going to go somewhere, you download the country or city, depending on the size. So you download the country and the area that you need before you leave home, because home usually, in our case, has faster internet and it loads very quickly. Because a lot of times you'll get to a hotel and you don't have fast internet. The only thing you have is enough to do your emails, but there's no room to download, not enough speed to download. So we download what we need before we leave. And this app is so good that you can be anywhere in the world. You can be no internet, no Wi-Fi, and you can still look up where you are. It'll show you hospitals, hotels, well, roads, of course, trees, lakes. It's a really good app. Floyd loves it. It's one of his favorite apps too. So you can use it anywhere, and you don't need internet as long as you download the map. And it's free. There's no cost. It's called Maps.me, and it's an app. So we're traveling across South America, and we are leaving Peru, and we're going into Bolivia. So we get on a bus, and the bus, one of the things that worried us when we were started this trip, was what's it going to be like when you leave from one country and go to another country. And each border was different. This one was great. We got on a bus. The bus took us to the edge of Peru, another bus, and then we had to get off and get a stamp, an exit stamp, and then you get back on, and then you go on to another bus, and then you get off, and you get a Bolivia entrance stamp, and you go back on the bus, and he takes you into town. So our first stop was Copacabana, and that's at Titicaca Lake. And it's a very, very interesting interesting area, because in Peru, on that part of Lake Titicaca, there was people that were living on the lake on these floating floating earth. So when we got to Copacabana, we could have went on a tour there as well, because it was the other side of the lake, but we're tired by now. We're tired. We've been traveling for a month already, or close, and we've had lots of tours where we walked up hills, and we did more walking than we wanted to, and so we didn't go. But I would highly recommend it. In hindsight, I wish we would have went and at least seen what that edge of the lake was like. So we hung around there for I think 2 nights. I remember when we got there, it was really quite a nice old hotel. It was, when you walked out of the room, you could see down below a seating area, down 2 floors down. So the first thing we did when we got to the hotel, we dropped off our bags, threw our valuables in there, took our phone, our good phone, left that in the suitcase, left the passport in the, well, we had to take our passport with us, because we knew that if we needed to get a phone chip, we needed our passport. So we did take our passport this time. But we threw all our valuables into all 4 bags, locked them all, and went for a walk to buy a SIM card, because that's usually what we do. That's the first thing we do. And you need your passport with you. So we bought a SIM card, used our passport, came back, threw the passport back into the luggage, and locked it up. So Floyd and I are wandering around and looking at the town, going to the market, and then I think we were there like 2 nights, and then we're going to La Paz, the capital. So the bus stop is right over there. Okay, so we go to the bus stop, and it wasn't a bus, it was like a van. So okay, we get in the vehicle and we're driving into La Paz. Well, he drops us off. He didn't drop us off at a bus station, and normally we like to be dropped off at a bus station because then we know where to go into next time we go on the trip, and then we just look on the board to see the next place we're going to go is here and what time does the next bus leave. But nope, he dropped us off in La Paz, but somewhere in the middle of La Paz. So, maps.me. We're standing in the corner and we don't have a hotel, and we're looking around. There's like no hotel around here. So I looked up, we pulled our maps.me up, and there was a couple hotels that we could choose from. So there's no way we're carting our luggage up and down these hills. And so Floyd said, okay, I'll just hang here and watch our luggage and sit here and you run. And so I did. I rented a couple hotels. I probably went to about 3 or 4 hotels, and they all said, no, we're full, no, we're full. So then I found one, and we roll our bag there, and I get up there, and it was like $8 or something. It was super cheap. So we cart our bags up there, and we get to the room, and the damn toilet was leaking, and you go to the bathroom, and it was the seal, of course. It was the seal, so it was water. And it was making noise, so we just looked at each other and said, yeah, let's move on. So I went downstairs, got a refund. I was good about that. And we hopped in a taxi and went downtown. And we normally, actually, when we book hotels, Floyd's usually the one that does the hotel thing, research. But we normally get a hotel in the middle of town, around the square. There's usually Parliament buildings, or usually in the center of a city, because there's usually a lot of hotels to choose from. So we make our way up there, and there was some protests, and the protests were put on hold because it was a holiday, and I think it was the Day of the Dead, November 1st, or I just don't remember correctly. I'll have to look it up. But President Morales had been around for a while, and he had a 3rd term, and they were upset about that. And then he ran for the 4th term, and the people were upset about that. And then this was in 2019, but he got elected in something like 2017, and then they had a little time period there where they were deciding whether it was constitutional or not, and it turned out it was constitutional, and that now he can run for every election after that. And well, some of the people are upset about that because, but some of the people were upset about that. And how I found out some of the information was that La Paz is a city full of hills, and it takes a long time to get around. So what they did is they built a cable system, and it's a really fabulous cable system. So this cable network provides transportation for everybody. So there's about 10 different lines, cable lines, to different parts of the city. So I said to my husband, I think I want to spend the day going to all of these lines, because they were like 50 cents per ride. And I said, I'd like to try all the lines to just see the houses and the people. And he goes, I'm only going on 1 line or 2. That's it. You can do the rest. So I said, okay. So we get on the line and we do 1 or 2. And then he goes, bye. I'm going back to the hotel. And I said, okay, I'm going to keep going. So I do. I keep going, and I get off 1 line, and then get another line, and off. Meanwhile, while I'm on this cable cars, I'm talking to people, and I'm asking them, so what's the scoop about the president? Why are you guys all upset about him? And a couple of them said that they were upset because Morales was letting these farmers grow cacao. Now, the people were saying, well, the cacao's need for tea. And the ones I was talking to in the cable cars said, No, there's cacao for tea, and we do like that. But the cacao that they were against was the ones that were used for cocaine. And it's a harder leaf, and it's not. People don't use it for tea. So we were finding a few people that were upset at Morales, and it turns out that La Paz was the ones that were really instrumental in really being upset about the fact that he got reelected on the fourth term. But there were some people in other locations that were really liked him. So I'm on this learning mission, and I'm talking to people about this, and that's all right. So we get back to the hotel, and we change hotels, by the way. So we find this other hotel downtown. So we go to we take a bus, more like a van, to this place called Coroico. Now, when I was a child, people called me Coroico. My name is Carol, but some of my family members and friends called me Coroico. So we get there, and it's very hilly, and it's a really nice town. That was the best place. I got a fondue for $9 for two people. It was fabulous. It was like the best fondue I've ever had. And I said, "Why is your fondue so good?" She's, "My wife is from Switzerland," he says. And I go, "Oh, well, that's why it's so good." But it was very, very good. Anyway, the view from the dining room was fabulous. It was like you could see a long ways away, and some parts of the day there was clouds, and in other parts the cloud would lift. And it felt like a cloud forest. So then we made our way back to La Paz, and we're going to go to a place called Uyuni, and it's the salt flats. So we get on the bus. We get a bus ticket, and we go buy a bus ticket. And generally when we buy a bus ticket, we go to the station. But for some reason, this station, the booth we went to, kind of ripped us off, because we wanted the seat at the very, like, these buses, they're really cool. These buses have two stories. So if you're in the front, you're just like in the front. There's 4 seats, 2 and 2, and there's just glass, and you get such a fabulous view of where you're going. And we try to pick those, and so we did. We paid for a seat, and we get there, and they said, "Oh, sorry, you got to go to a different bus because this bus is not operating anymore," whatever. So whatever. So we get to the bus, and the guy says, "Can I have your ticket?" And I go, "Yeah." So we give him the ticket, and it said 1 and 2 for the seat. And he gives the ticket back. He said, "I have to give you a different ticket." So he gives me a ticket back. Now I don't even look to see what the seat number is in, because I'm assuming I'm getting the same seat that I paid for. So we get on the bus, and there's somebody sitting in 1 and 2, and I said, "Oh, this is my seat." And they go, "No, it's my seat." And I said, "No, it's my seat. Look at my ticket." He goes, "Well, let's see your ticket." And he goes, "No, your seat says 4 and 5. And I go, "Oh, it does say 4 and 5. Okay, how'd that happen?" So then I go down, and I talk to the guy, and he says, "Oh, no, you didn't have 1 and 2. And I said, "Oh, yes, I did." He said, "Where's your ticket?" And I said, "I gave it to somebody, and they gave me a new ticket." And so the bus driver was there, and I'm annoyed because we lost our seat. And we specifically picked that time just so that we could get those seats. Because sometimes we will go to a bus station, and if those 4 seats are taken, we'll just take another bus so that we can get those front seats. So anyway, I'm pissed, and the bus driver knows about it, and the bus driver helper knows about it, because I'm friggin' annoyed. I said, "I'm not moving." So Floyd says, "Let's just go." I said, "I'm really mad at you guys." So I created a ruckus. And then I said to the driver, I said, "I know it's not your fault." He said, "I know it's the other guy's fault, but I'm still angry." So anyway, we drive. Yeah, it's about an 8-hour drive. And so we go to Uyuni, Salt Flats. And that's really nice there. It was really cool. That wasn't even on our radar because we chatted up with other people and they go, "Have you been to the salt flats?" And we go, "What?" They said, "Have you been to the salt flats?" And we go, "No." And they go, "You should go because." And so that's how we often travel. It's by just listening to what other people have to say and where they've been. So we took a tour to the salt flats, and it was flat. It looked like a lake, and there was a hotel there made out of salt. We didn't stay in it. So we spend the day at the salt flats. We come back. We stay overnight, and I get a haircut. I cheaped out and got like a $2 haircut or something. And I said, just like maybe cut only this much and make it long. Well, she cut my hair so short. It was like really short. Oh, because she says, I only cut men's hair. And I go, you'll be fine. And she goes, oh, no, I only cut men's hair. And I said, yeah, just cut this much. Well, yeah, she cut a lot. But anyway, it grew back. So the next morning, we're going to take the bus. And we roll our bags to the bus station. And we're waiting. And then this bus driver is walking down the street and he sees me. And of course, he recognizes me because I was mad last night. And he goes, you can't take the bus. And I go, what? He says, the protests, the previous bus, he says, I'm not driving my bus. He says, but the previous bus that went was stopped a couple hours away or something, and the protesters broke the windows, and he said, so we're not going anywhere. There's no buses leaving here because the protesters have shut us down, and they're wrecking the buses, and they're throwing things on breaking the windows and stuff. And Floyd and I are going, ooh, we want to get the hell out of here. So the first thing we do is we go, let's get our asses down to the airline, because as soon as the people around here start catching on that the buses aren't leaving, because this guy told me first before anybody else even knew, because he recognized me. This bus driver recognized me from the day before. So we kind of got this information before anybody else did. So we said, we're going to get down to the airlines and book a flight out of here before it's full, because we'll be stuck. So we get to the airline and we book a flight and that's when we went to Rurenbaka, to the jungle. We thought, well, we may as well just, if we're flying, we may as well go to the jungle and do a jungle tour and a Pampas tour. So that was the day, that was when we booked that jungle tour. And I talk about our jungle tour on a previous video. And I talk about the snake in the boot. You gotta listen. You gotta hear that one. And about the cow that got stuck. That was a different one. And Floyd getting chiggers and chigger bites. And me swimming with the pink dolphins while the caiman are around, and the caiman are like an alligator. But if you listen to my other videos, I describe that. So anyway, so we book a flight out of there, and before we know, and then I'm curious. So we book a flight out of there, and we go to the other airline, and we're going, oh, how much is your flight out of here? And she goes, we're booked for 3 or 4 days already. And we go, well, that was fast. So anyway, we get on a flight, and we have this overnight in La Paz. And La Paz has got protests. Well, that time that we were in La Paz, this would be our second time in La Paz, there's hooting and hollering, and everybody's really happy because Morales, the president, stepped down. So everybody's just like super happy, and they're all over the place. And normally when there's protests, we stay away from protests because some of them can be not good. So we stay overnight in La Paz, and we stay at this hostel, this cute hostel. And in the morning, we think, because we're going to fly to Rurenbach, and in the morning, we thought, well, we'll run downstairs and get something to eat, and then, because we don't have to be out of here till Our flight left at 4, and we didn't have to be out of there till 1 or 2. So this is like 8 or 9 in the morning, and we're hungry, and so we thought, oh, we'll just run downstairs and get something to eat. And so I go to the desk and I go, "Sir, do you guys have anything to eat around here?" And she says, "Where are you going?" And I go, "Well, we're going to the airport, but this afternoon." She says, "I'd be going now." And I go, "Why?" And she says, "Well, there's a protest, and they're blocking roads, and the taxis don't even want to come and get anybody." And we said, "Really?" And I said, "Can you book us a cab?" And so she did. She got us a cab. And as we're going out the door, there was a whole bunch of protesters. But these weren't the protesters that were happy about Morales leaving. These were the protesters that were really angry that he stepped down. So these were the ones that were from the rural area that really liked Morales. And they were big and burly, and we were very glad to get out of there. So we get in the cab, and the cab driver was fabulous. He zigged and zagged and zigged, and he'd go one way and there was a blockage. Because when they were protesting, they would put a whole bunch of stuff on the roads and set it on fire. And then he would zig another way, and then there would be another protest. And then every time, and then he could see from he'd see if he saw some protest, like he spotted them faster than we did. He would look and go, "No, I'm not going there." And then he would turn around and go another way. And so he took us, I don't know, I think about 2 hours. This is like a 20-minute, half-hour ride, and it took us 2 hours to get to the airport. So we get to the airport quite early, and we get to the airport counter, and they're saying, well, the flight's going to leave, and there's probably tons of people that cannot make it to the airport because the taxi drivers don't want to be picking up anybody, and they don't want to be picking up anybody. So that was the flight we took to Rurenbach. But what I missed earlier, if I'm going into sequence here, is the bus we took to the Uyuni Flats. That was the previous stop we had in La Paz, Bolivia. We went for a little walk, and up this hill there was a whole bunch of protesters. And flight says, "Let's go. There's protesters. We got to get out of here." And I go, "Oh, just a minute. I said, "I want to take some pictures." And he goes, "Come on, let's go." And I go, "We'll be fine. They're a long ways away." I said, "They're like 5 or 6 blocks," because there was a hill going down and then up again. So we could see them a long ways away. I said, "They're 5 blocks away. They're a long ways away." He says, "Come on, let's go." And I'm going, no. I want to take some pictures. I want to get close to these guys. So they started walking faster than we thought they would. So we turn around and go. So finally he's just dragging me out of there. And we're going and we're walking. And I turn around and we turn around. It's like they're getting close. And then we're walking up a hill. And we probably had to walk up a hill probably about 4 blocks. And we're going up the hill. And every time we turned around, that protest got closer and closer. And he says, "Come on, let's go." So we're hurrying. So we get, so they came really close. Like they were only about, by the time we got to the top of the hill, they were only like probably a block and a half away, maybe 2. Too close. So we get to the top of the hill and we got to turn left. And then we got to go more of a hill. And then that's where the hotel was that we stayed at. And what we did that morning is we packed our bag and left our bag at the front desk. Because it was our flight, or the bus wasn't leaving till midnight or something, or 10 o'clock at night. And we had to check out at 10 in the morning. So we wanted to wander around and do some things while we were waiting for the bus. So, So we walk, so we go up the hill, and the protest is really close, and we make a left, and we go up a little bit more, and we're saying, we gotta get the hell out of here, because the taxis, if the protest is this close, the taxis aren't even gonna get us out of here. we're not going to be able to get out of the downtown area because the protesters will block everything off, and the taxis won't be able to take us to the bus station. And we needed to take a taxi to the bus station because we had luggage. So we go to the hotel, and the guy's already rolling down his thing, because most of these third world countries, they have these roll-ups, and then you see a hotel or a store or something, and then they roll it back down again. So he's rolling it back down again. I'm saying, whoa, 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 we got to get our luggage. He says, oh, that's okay. So he said, here's the door. And so they had a little door, and they opened the door, and we went in, grabbed our luggage, and pulled it out to the street, and grabbed the first cab we could to get the heck out of there. And so we did. We took a cab to the bus station, and I think we got to the bus station at 2 o'clock. I don't know. It was early afternoon anyway. It was because we had to get the heck out of downtown and from the protesters. And that was the day that we went to Uyuni salt flats. Okay, so then we just missed the protesters, and so then now we go to Rurenbakken, and we do our little jungle tour. And then we're leaving Rurenbakken, and we're going to either Santa Cruz or Sucre, one of the two. And it was a non-stop flight. And we're stopping. And I said to Floyd, this does not look like... No, I think we had to go from Rurenbakken to La Paz, and then La Paz to either Sucre or Santa Cruz. So it wasn't a direct flight. I had that wrong. So I said to Floyd, this does not look like a La Paz airport. I said, and he goes, yeah, I don't know. So the stewardess comes walking by, and I go, is this La Paz airport? She says, oh no, this is Cochabamba. Chocacamba. I don't know, something like that. Cochabamba. And I said, so why are we here? She goes, we had to fill up because La Paz has no gas for us. And I go, well, why doesn't La Paz have gas? She says, because the protesters are angry at La Paz because La Paz people voted Morales out. So none of the trucks were bringing in the gas to La Paz. The protesters weren't allowing any buses and no gas being shipped. Actually, they weren't even allowing trucks, because when we were at Santa Cruz Airport, and we were on our way to, because we flew from Santa Cruz to Paraguay, because we couldn't take the bus because the buses weren't running, and there was people walking around, people lined up, and I said, what are you guys lined up for? Because they had all these white styrofoam containers, and I said, so what's happening here? You guys, because we're getting off the cab, and we got to know which lineup we're going to go in. Are we in this lineup? Or what's the lineup for? And I said, so what are you guys lined up for? I said, is this check-in? And he goes, no, that's not check-in. He says, we're sending food to La Paz, to our family. I said, what? He said, yes, I'm sending a chicken and some beef. They were sending food, and the lineup was huge. They were sending food on the plane from Santa Cruz, which is on the other side of Bolivia, to La Paz, because La Paz wasn't getting any food. They were stopping the food from coming in there as well. So it was like we were in Sucre, and Sucre's really cool. It's mountainous, and it was very nice. And there was like 2 or 3 buses lined up along the square, along the edge of the square, and all of them had broken windows. They couldn't go anywhere. They had little money collecting. People were giving them money, so that they were collecting money from people, because they said, we can't go anywhere with broken windows. So we need people to give us money so that we can go buy windows and then start transporting people. So the protesters that started when we first got to La Paz were the ones against Morales, and then the ones later were for Morales and were mad at the country, or mad at La Paz area, or a lot of the country, for pushing him out. So it was probably the place that we did the most flying, because we couldn't get buses all the time. So it was really an interesting trip to Bolivia. So I have to think about what else I need to tell you, and I just can't think of anything else. So if you like the video, press like and subscribe, and thank you. And you guys have a great day.